Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. Now, we've talked about this particular vehicle in the past. 6.4 liter normally aspirated Hemi V8 all-wheel drive 8-speed transmission. This is a pretty sweet piece of kit. And in one of the last episodes, we talked about the rumor that they were going to drop the Hellcat, the 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8 in this thing, making 707 brake horsepower. Well, guess what? Their dreams have now come true. This has become official. They're going to build a Hellcat version of the SRT Jeep, which will actually be called the Trackhawk. Now, this particular machine, there's a little bit of sadness when it comes to this, because that 707 brake horsepower may not make its appearance in this machine. They're going to detune the engine a tad bit, I'm assuming, try to help that 8-speed ZF style gearbox live, not to mention the all-wheel drive system. They may have had a little bit of issues in some initial testing. This thing's probably been ripping up drivetrains, so gonna have to make it a little bit more streetable. That being said, even if this thing, if they lock 100 brake horsepower of this thing, it's going to be a rocket ship. 600 brake horsepower. This thing's gonna be a missile, and I cannot wait to hear more about this. We'll keep you in tune if we hear any more, and I'm sure we will. Next up on the list, a little bit of Top Gear news. The brand new head presenter, Chris Evans, actually put out a deal on Top Gear's Facebook page, not only on that, or Top Gear's website, but his own website, that he's actually looking for presenters to present right alongside him on the next generation of Top Gear. Yes, you too can make a short 30-second video, not if you're doing anything crazy, just basically seeing how you are on camera, and you too could become a member of the Top Gear crew. Now, it's going to be a long shot, I'm assuming, unless they're really trying to go low buck on this thing. And yes, I am going to make my own video, because you know what? It's not going to hurt anything, but I guarantee you exactly what I'm going to say on that video is there's no way they're going to put a bald, fat American on UK's biggest show, Top Gear. Not to mention, if you did get on there, the British press would tear you apart. So, and I'm pretty sissy when it comes to that kind of thing. So, that being said, I think throwing your hat in the ring is a no-brainer. If you're a big fan of the show, you think you could do what Jeremy, James, and Richard had done for several years, this may be your chance at stardom. So get your videos made, get it sent in. Like I said, I've got it up on the Facebook page. I'll take you right over to where you need to take your video. Next up on the list, the folks over at Nissan are teasing another Juke R. Remember the Juke R? Basically the Nissan Juke body on top of the GTR platform, suspension, drivetrain, the whole lot. That was a monster piece of kit. And remember, they only built a handful of them. I want to say 20 or 30 of them at $600,000 a pop. And sold out every one of them. Apparently, Nissan wants back in on that action because there's going to be a next generation Nissan Juke Nismo edition, the Juke R. It's going to be very entertaining because this vehicle is going to get a lot of the upgrades the GTR has got back. A lot of the suspension upgrades, the lump upgrades that they got inside of the Nismo edition vehicle. So this is going to be a very neat piece of kit. I absolutely adored this car. Even though you watched a lot of videos of guys testing these things, said it was pretty tricky to drive. That GTR drivetrain was not really set up to have that tall of a body put on top of it, but still, what a cool piece of kit that car is. So cannot wait to hear more about this vehicle. Last up on the list, in a weird situation when it comes to the old Nurburgring Nordschleife loop. This is a weird situation. Tons of manufacturers actually have bases right there inside of the facility themselves. In fact, a lot of manufacturers pool their money to shut the track down so they can do private testing whenever they so desire. Obviously, it's very expensive to shut this circuit down, so if you lump in a bunch of big manufacturers, it's a lot easier to do. Well, now, One of the big bragging rights is especially around supercars, was the fact is how quick can your car make a lap of the full Nordschleife, or the northern loop of the Nurburgring. Well, apparently those days are all over. Yes, the Nurburgring made an official announcement that they will no longer allow production car lap records or any lap records whatsoever to be performed in the facility. Whether the circuit is open or closed to the public, or the public days, they will no longer allow this. They've got those sections of the track that we talked about in shows past where they actually have sections of the track that have speed limits on it. The big long straight, if you've driven this virtually like I have 100 million times, yes, that straight, you can't go flat out down that straight heading down to the big, to the section of corners that end up to the front straight of the track. You can't go flat out down there. There's a couple of other sections where the cars get a little bit light, where they're not allowing that as well. Again, like I said in last videos, the Nurburgring, and I know you're not going to listen to some fat bald American as he blabbers on about this, but if you did it like a World Rally special stage, when they set up a special stage for the World Rally Championship, they send out a search car in the beginning and they move sections of the crowd out of the way. Now, obviously, doing that before every lap run would be nearly impossible. But if these sections of the crowd, and I know why they did this, remember the crash with that Nissan GT-R GT3 race car that actually got airborne, got up over the fence, and actually ended up killing a couple of spectators. Super sad situation, but you got a section of the facility where spectators should not have been standing in the first place, on the end of high gear corners or parts of the track where vehicles get very, very light, get a little bit off the ground. There should not be people in these type of sections. And if you fenced off sections of this where it permanently kept them away, and obviously people, where there's a will, there's a way, they're going to get into these sections anyway. But you know what? It was your own risk to get into that situation by then. So I think this would be an excellent deal. Obviously, the long straight, you just can't really regulate that with more fencing or anything like that. But I still think that this could still exist. Now, again, there may be something that comes of this, and it's really hurt a couple of folks, especially the Christian von Koenigsegg, head of the Koenigsegg Group. He's been shooting a documentary. Remember when we talked about this whole deal, that 0 to 300 kilometers an hour, back down to 0? Apparently, this is the set of the record runs that their group was trying to do in works of a brand new documentary called Apex, and one of the last on the list. In fact, they were heading to the ring when this announcement came out. They were a day away and had to cancel their flight altogether and cancel the shipping of the automobile and everything because they can't make a record run at this deal. Now, again, I would love to see this happen. I understand why it doesn't happen anymore, but hopefully something will change in the future and they'll be right back to making these record runs. Because what else will we have to argue about? Oh, wait a minute. We got tons of stuff to argue about. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, links down in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.